Good afternoon. I'm Heather Bell, the Director of Membership for the Orange County Chamber of Commerce. Have you ever wondered about becoming an organ donor? What the process is to do so? And how does the organ get to someone who needs it? Today's guest is Scott Wall, Senior Manager of Community and Government Affairs with LiveOnNY, an organization that was created in 1978 with a focus for the procurement of organ donation through New York State. New York State, which ranks the lowest in the nation. They've been members of the Orange County Chamber of Commerce since 2018. I'm excited to share that I follow in Scott's footsteps as he was once the Director of Membership for the Orange County Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Scott.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Scott, please tell our guests about LiveOnNY's mission and how it's accomplished.
LiveOnNY is one of 58 federally designated organ procurement organizations throughout the United States. We each have territories assigned to us. There is no overlap. There is no multiple choice. And ours tends to be one of the largest in the nation, with about 13 counties and 13 million people. And within that area, our mission is fourfold. 1, to facilitate life-saving transplant. 2, to provide aftercare to the families of the donors of those who have gone on to help others. 3 is education of the community and medical professions about the importance of organ donation. And last is advocacy. We look to advocate on behalf of our recipients and donor families to ensure that there's legislation out there that makes it easy to become a donor.
Very interesting. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that I never even thought of when I checked the box on the DMV form.
Yeah, no, it's really a very complicated dance, and a lot of coordination and timing goes into every donor.
So, how do you make it known that you want to be a donor? I just referenced the DMV box, but let's say for instance that you don't have a driver's license, and how even to follow that, how can you specify which organs that you want to donate?
Well, most folks are familiar with, I'm sure, registering to become a donor at the Department of Motor Vehicles. That is the most prolific source of enrollments in New York and the United States, basically. However, because you mentioned, I think that New York ranks 50th when it comes to donation, there's been a lot of legislative movement to try and facilitate donation or enrollment to become a donor through multiple portals. New York is the only state where when you register to vote, you can also sign up to become an organ donor. When you go on the Health Benefits Exchange to sign up for health insurance in New York State, you can also sign up to become an organ donor. Several local municipalities like in New York City and IDNYC asked the question about becoming an organ donor. And actually, it just became law signed by the governor on Monday that next year when you go for a hunting, fishing, or trapping license, you will also be asked if you'd like to be an organ donor.
Oh, awesome. So there's a really great collaboration, and the state really does work to, focus on the promotion of the program. It's just actually getting the people to sign up for the donation and understanding why it's so important.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, again, the state is a tremendous partner in all of this. And by no means do we make any of this happen on our own. It's because of the help we receive from New York State, and then obviously first and foremost our hospital partners that help make transplant possible.
Mm-hmm. And what about on the community and local levels? What kind of collaborations can we have within the county, say, for instance?
Well, certainly a membership in the Orange County Chamber of Commerce is incredibly helpful. It was one of the first things we did when we made the transition. So thank you for all of that. But then we also tend to partner with multiple different partners, places where the topic of donation is bound to come up. 1, certainly being medical professionals and hospitals, but then 2, our elected officials, not just because they're legislating and enacting laws that could impact us, but because they have a built-in constituency, they have a platform, and they can help speak to the legitimacy of our organization and organ donation and its importance. But then also we find very important for us is faith leaders in houses of worship, because oftentimes people think that they'll have a conflict with their religion if they become an organ donor.
Sure.
And finally, one of my areas of focus is working with local high schools to introduce the topic into high school education curricula. Because as a result of legislation a few years back, 16 and 17-year-olds can enroll to become organ donors now without parental permission. So when they're asked that question at the DMV, we want to make sure that they're coming from a place of knowledge and understanding of what they're committing to.
Oh, that's great. That's really great. So we're talking about the actual organ donation, but how are they identified to receive an organ, and who pays for it, and how does it get to them? Talk about that process, because that's very intriguing as well.
Sure, and that's obviously the procurement process that we're involved in at the front end, as far as the identification. I think everybody's seen on TV or is familiar with the infamous list, and there literally is a wait list, which is a computer based in Virginia, that based upon an algorithm factoring in multiple items such as body mass, blood type, age, proximity, overall health conditions, will then match up with the same conditions in a donor. Again, looking for blood type and body mass first and foremost, but then again, overall health and proximity being one of the more important factors. And that list has at any given moment 110 to 115,000 people on it that are waiting. We're obviously somewhat restricted to about 200 to 400 nautical miles as far as being able to safely transport an organ. But then, yes, once the match is made, we will work with the family of the donor, whichever hospital they may be at the time, to go through the recovery process, which is a pure surgical procedure. It's not nothing gruesome, nothing ghoulish, nothing disrespectful. And actually, most folks will go on to have open casket funerals and the like. And then we are involved. We'll then transport that organ to one of 11 different transplant centers that operate within our territory to facilitate the safe placement of the organ in its new home.
Wow. So everybody sees these transitions on TV, and hearing it from you is just, it's so supportive of what a great program it is, and the fact that you can be a source of life to another individual, and give somebody that may not have vision the ability to see. To me that's just so powerful. Does everyone stay in New York State, or do you collaborate out of the specific geographical area?
No, we absolutely do. I know I mentioned as far as our service area, which is Lower Hudson Valley, New York City, and Long Island. But then also, yes, like I mentioned, I think that the 200 to 400 nautical miles, this might sound a little bit nerdy or wordy, but basically that could be anywhere. That could be Pennsylvania, that could be New Jersey. It doesn't even have to be contiguous. There's plenty of times where we've transported an organ on a commercial airline flight. So it can, and it can be any one of the other 57 of us out there. As long as they're proximate enough and they've got the right match for a recipient, we'll partner with them to get them the organ that they need.
Great. And as a nonprofit, how are you funded?
It's most important consideration here is there's no cost to the donor family ever. That once a donor's family or a donor becomes a donor, the decision is made, all billing from the hospital to that family stops, or that insurance. Then the costs are transferred onto our organization to cover the recovery, surgery, and whatever stay they may have at the hospital, follow up. So there's no cost to the donor family, and that's one of the more important factors we like to try and communicate. And on the other end, as you might expect, is it's covered through health insurance. The health insurance covers the expense and reimburses our organization.
That's great. I'm so glad that you shared that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
How has COVID affected the organization? What are the greatest needs, and how can the community at large help as you're transitioning through that? But go back to the COVID question first, because these are all questions that are coming into my mind, but I'm really interested about how COVID has affected you.
Sure. Obviously, like anybody else in the healthcare industry, COVID had a significant impact on the organization. In the early days, well, let me go back if I have a quick second. By law, every hospital is required to contact our organization in the case of any brain death or cardiac death. And so, as you might imagine, that's hundreds and thousands of calls a day. When COVID struck, those calls quadrupled. So we were inundated at our call center as far as receiving notifications of potential or pending deaths, which again, there wasn't much we could do about it. But again, when eventually COVID became an automatic rule out very quickly because of the uncertainty. Anybody who was diagnosed or suspected of having COVID-19 was ruled out as a donor, which was a obviously significant step and probably the right step. However, even if they weren't ruled out, no other state in the union would accept organs from New York in the early days for fear of what might result in uncertainty of the impacts of the disease. That's since been somewhat switched, because once things started getting really much stronger in New York and more dire in other parts of the country, we were more than willing to accept the organ donations and organ transplant offerings from other states. We did not reciprocate that because our situation really is so dire that we really will explore any opportunity to receive an organ to help somebody stay alive.
Okay. And now, let's go into what else I was asking, because I want to make sure that you're getting the support from the community that you need. What are the greatest needs, and how can the community at large help?
As you might imagine, community outreach is pretty much at an all-time low. There aren't too many health fairs or high schools that are letting visitors come in. So we are on a virtual world right now. We live and die by Zoom these days, I think, just like everybody else. And even our bigger activities like Organ Donor Enrollment Day, which is coming up on October 8th, is looking to be all virtual. We will be posting in social media. We will be utilizing newsletters and email blasts from our other community partners to encourage folks to sign up to be a donor on that day. And we welcome anyone to do that. and we'll be tracking it so that at the end of the day, there can even be a bit of a competition to see which community advocate has been more prolific in their approach and engagement and really help they provide to the cause.
Great. And do you have any corporate partners that support the program by any chance, Scott?
We don't really have any corporate partners because we don't do any fundraising. We're pretty much a standalone, but we certainly have many partners. Again, primarily our primary partners are the 100 some odd hospitals that operate within the area. We collaborate very closely with them, both on the technical side and then also on the community side. So locally, that's going to be a Garnett Medical Center, St. Luke's, Cornwall, as well as Bon Secours and St. Anthony's right here in Orange County. Those are our 4 major partners here in the area. Okay.
Well, the Chamber will absolutely help you promote that.
Absolutely. No, and again, yes, the Chamber of Commerce has been a steadfast ally. Even before you came aboard, Lindsay Owen was there to help us and to make sure that we had the support we needed. And again, even in our conversations the other day, it's been helpful as far as meeting and identifying new community partners for us.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. So for anybody to reach out to you directly or, to find out more about the organization, I think Casey's popping up some stuff behind the scenes there on the bottom of the screen. Sure. But if you want to give us your email.
The email is swohl@liveonny.org. So that's fine. And like everybody else these days, it comes directly to my phone. So it's pretty much 24/7. And yes, if anybody's interested in becoming a donor, has questions about donation, or would like to support our enrollment day effort next in October, they're free to give me a call or an email.
Great. Anything else you'd like to share, Scott?
No, just thank you very much for the time and the opportunity. And again, it's been wonderful being a Chamber member.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us today. We would like to thank Scott for continuing to support the Chamber and all of our members that allow us to continue to support them and grow their businesses, and to our corporate partners who are so dedicated and committed to our mission. You should check out our schedule of events on our Facebook page or our website, orangeny.com. And you should also go ahead and check out the Orange Open information. It's filling up very quickly. Lots of sponsorships have been selling out, foursomes. So that's coming up very quickly. And again, out on our website, orangeny.com. There are also some master classes that are coming up, many more Meet the Members, and some ribbon cutting. So go ahead and check out all the schedule of events. We are here. We are your Orange County Chamber of Commerce, and we thank you for your support.